So I am going to introduce what Sun is because I suspect most of you won't have heard of it aside from the title of this webinar. So Sun is the Space Universities Network and essentially is a network of academics from universities across the UK teaching space topics, whether that's space science and engineering, space law, space medicine. If it is space focused, then our members teach it. We have three co-chairs, Lucy Batu from Bristol, Kate Smith from Manchester, and Ian Raper at UCL, along with Thomas and myself, who are supporting them. And Sun is supported by the UK Space Agency and by the University of Bristol, where Thomas and myself are both PhD students. So a little bit of a background into what Sun does and what it aims to do. Sun aims to produce skilled graduates by sharing best teaching practice, developing relevant curriculum, and promoting space, in this case, science and engineering, because that's where the bulk of our members are, but it's not limited to that. And Sun universities are distributed across the UK. We have many academics at many universities and are continually expanding the network. There's about 105 academics across about 45 institutions across the UK. And obviously we have our website and our email. You're very welcome to contact us about these opportunities. That is the end of my very, very brief introduction to Sun. And I'm going to pass over to Jez, who will introduce this opportunity.
Excellent, thanks a lot. So I am presuming you can see my screen now.
Yeah, you're good.
Right, okay, cool. So I guess that was so great because it fits in with everything I'm going to say. Thank you very much. I'm here today to kind of tell you about a little story that I used to make gnomes for a living. I failed everything at school. I got a grade E in GCSE biology. That was my highest grade. And back in the 80s, 70s, 80s, my dyslexia wasn't recognized at all. And I'm really quite dyslexic. And I did have a massive imposter syndrome. I kind of think there's an edge to imposter syndrome sometimes. And it kind of links to how I've got where I am now, and it links to mountain bikes as well. I'm a mountain biker, and I listen to a podcast called the Pink Bike Podcast, and a guy on there called Henry Quinney has had this saying. He says, "Look, okay, imposter syndrome should be embraced sometimes. It kind of it does. It gets in the way, but sometimes it can stop you from doing things." And saying, "Oh, I'm wonderful," and we've all seen those people. I think they're absolutely incredible, and I think we need to sometimes just embrace that imposter syndrome. You need to break past that barrier to get you to the UK Space Conference, which is what we're trying to do today for you. We're trying to get you to embrace that opportunity, just like I have, to go from a gnome maker to a teacher and a space advocate. So really, just think about what inspires you. I mean, if you've got something that inspires you, whatever, art, history, business, whatever it is. For me, this image here really inspired me, and hopefully some of you'll recognize one of the objects in this image here, which is the Earth, but the other one is the Moon. This is 1968. The Earth taken from the other side of the Moon. The Apollo 8 astronauts, to this day, the Apollo 8 astronauts, they're the only people who've ever seen the whole of the Earth with the unaided eye. And this really inspired me to kind of learn more about science. The Apollo missions did. I want to know how they got there. How do they achieve such an amazing feat? And a couple of other things inspired me as well. And some of you might even recognize that I'm sitting in a chair there. And that chair is when the Starship Enterprise came to Birmingham. And science fiction, a lot of science fiction is science fact. And I sat on Captain Kirk's original chair. And this computer game here, I learned physics from playing computer games, because this computer game came in a handbook called The Physics of Spaceflight. And all of these things really inspired me to actually go and do a foundation year, then a degree at nighttime with the Open University. and all of the things, the Apollo capsule there, the Orion capsule there that recently went around the moon, still inspires me to this day. And I kind of do talks about this and teach people all about it. But by pushing myself out there, by taking opportunities, every opportunity that came up in terms of space and spaceflight, really, I just grabbed, and please grab these opportunities. So one of them is here. There was something called Links Apollo, and I kind of got a following, a social media following. I don't do social media, but I got a social media following to get me to the finals in London of this astronaut training competition. So I just geeked out and went for it. This one here, I met at Nordvik. I got an all expenses paid trip as a teacher to go and learn about European Space Agency and UK Space Agency education. And that trip was paid because I wrote a really geeky letter and I was really enthusiastic. And this one here, as you can see, in 2012, when I was still teaching in secondary schools, before I taught at universities, I wrote again a really geeky letter to Honeywell. And in 2012, I was one of only 90 people who were from the UK, and people from all over the world were taken to the US Space and Rocket Center in Alabama. And here, I'm wearing Neil Armstrong's glove that he wore on the moon. This is his thermal protection glove. And that week I spent in Alabama, I learned so many new educational activities. And this was all expenses paid trip just from putting myself out there and breaking through that imposter syndrome. And now I teach at the University of Nottingham. I felt this, I still felt these imposter syndrome now, but I've got Rolls-Royce rocket engines, which I've borrowed off Rolls-Royce. I teach about comet making. I work in this fantastic faculty. But here, the Space Universities Network gave me an amazing sense of belonging to this space community. And I now teach satellite design, and I teach a little bit of rocket science as well. And all this came from the Space Universities Network. So please take this opportunity on board. This one here that you've signed up for today is an opportunity for you to come to the UK Space Conference, where last time in Belfast, I kind of managed to meet Tim Peake and talk to so many different people and learn so many new contacts, and it was absolutely incredible. So we are going to provide funding and support for you to come to the UK Space Conference. But not only that, myself and the other webinar we're going to run with Leonardi from Birmingham, we're going to give you some support. So if you sign up and go, I've never done a poster or a presentation like this before, I'm a little bit nervous, we are going to mentor you through that process. And we're going to give you examples of what good is, and we can have discussions backwards and forwards, and we will be able to help and support you through this whole process. And hopefully that will give you the confidence to apply. So not only that, you will get entrance to the conference. You're going to get travel to and from Manchester from the UK. Accommodation will be provided and food, but not only that, some networking. So a networking event as well. So this package here is so incredible, and I would wholeheartedly recommend you just sign up and just go for it. But I guess one of the things is, what are you going to have to do to sign up? So just thinking about where you come from and what you're interested in, like we said earlier, all of these things are relevant, and it could be anything. And you know, space applications, engineering, policy and law. We have a space lawyer here at the University of Nottingham. We have astropharmacy and astromedicine. So here, a foot down farming as well. I noticed the Space Applications Catapult have just found an application for farming, which they've supported. And I live in a rural community, and the GPS and GIS network and all of those things for farming are actually incredibly important. Earth observation data, farming and monitoring climate change, any area is welcome. And I know the UK Space Agency, I've talked to people there, and the first thing they say is no space experience necessary. If you're interested in space and you think what you do has got an application in space, you are welcome to apply. So here then, the kind of questions we're going to ask you are this, you know, why are you interested in space? You've heard from me. What will you get out of this opportunity? It's almost like, well, I'm going to go to this opportunity, then what next? Am I going to sign up and do one of the interns? that Vanessa mentioned earlier. That'll be a great opportunity, a springboard into getting you to somewhere else. And then highlight some kind of barrier that you've overcome and faced. So they're the kind of things, just think about a challenge you've had to overcome. And in particular, I come from a really quite a disadvantaged background. If you've had any challenges like that in just getting to university, please let us know. We're interested in that. Have you got that passion for space? Like clangers in space. And I think this is wonderful for me from my point of view, as someone who's really dyslexic. You'll be able to write or record an abstract for work that you would like to present at this UK Space Conference. So you can do that via sending an audio file in. You can record videos and you can type it. So all three of those are accepted. So if you've got any specific learning difference or neurodiversity or anything like that that's can put a barrier in the way of your typing or your audio recordings, then we just want to give you an opportunity to have all those different methods of being able to submit an abstract. So the form that we'll show you here, so the next steps really, or the form, by the 30th of April, 23:59, that form is going to close. So here we've got a bit of time. So this is the form here, and there's a QR code there to the form. And there is another webinar with my colleague Leonani from the University of Birmingham. And one thing I'd like to send a message out there is please tell everyone about this opportunity. Tell your friends, anyone who you know is interested in space, but that, I'd never be able to get to the UK Space Conference. Please share this message, share the recording afterwards. And yeah, other than that, so I hope I've shown you that I'm passionate about space. I went from a gnome maker who used to make gnomes out of concrete to someone now who teaches satellite design and rocket science and will be at the UK Space Conference this year. So other than that, I will stop sharing and ask any questions.
Thank you so much, Jez. And I will now stop the recording. So if anybody has any questions they want to ask without typing, you have the opportunity to do so now.